You probably think you have free will. You probably believe that every choice you make is yours, born from your own mind, guided by your own morals. But let me tell you a truth, most people are too scared to even admit you are being controlled every single day, not by chains or threats, but by something far more dangerous: silent influence. Words, tones, gestures, and psychological pressure so subtle that you don't even notice them sinking into your brain until it's too late. Here's the reality. In every conversation you've ever had, someone was in control. It wasn't always the loudest voice or the most aggressive person. It was the one who understood the silent language of the human mind. They didn't need to argue. They didn't need to raise their voice. They didn't even need to convince you. They simply planted the thought and you carried it out, thinking it was your own idea. That is the art of dark psychology. See, most people misunderstand control. They think it's about dominance, shouting orders, or forcing obedience. That's amateur thinking. Real control is invisible. Real control is when you make someone believe they are choosing freely, when, in fact, you have already chosen for them. It's when you're the puppeteer, but the puppet doesn't even know the strings exist. And the scariest part? This power works on everyone. Friends, strangers, your boss, your partner, even people who believe they can't be manipulated. Because human behavior runs on predictable patterns: fear, desire, ego, and belonging. Once you understand these patterns, you can bend them to your will without them ever realizing it. But I'll warn you, once you learn these tactics, you won't be able to unsee them. You'll spot them everywhere, in politics, in sales pitches, in relationships. You'll see how you've been guided your whole life, like a sheep toward a pen you didn't even know existed. And you'll finally understand why some people seem to always get what they want, while others live in constant compromise. In this video, I'm going to reveal 5 dark psychology tactics, powerful, precise, and invisible, that will let you control anyone silently. I'm not talking about obvious tricks that any beginner can pull. I'm talking about the kind of influence that slips under the radar, reshapes a person's decisions, and leaves them absolutely certain that it was their choice all along. So, listen carefully, because the moment you start using these, you stop playing by other people's rules and start making them play by yours. 1. The seed planting technique. The easiest way to control someone isn't to push them, it's to plant something in their mind and let them water it themselves. Here's the trick. Instead of directly telling someone what to do, you drop a small, emotionally charged idea that latches onto their curiosity or fear. Humans have a weakness. They hate unresolved thoughts. The more you give them a little what-if scenario, the more their brain will start working for you to justify it. Example, instead of saying, "You should take my advice," you might say, "Some people who ignored this ended up regretting it for years." That's it. You've planted a seed of fear without telling them what to choose. Their brain will fill in the rest. This works because the human mind will always fight direct orders, but it will almost always accept a thought that it believes it discovered on its own. The more time passes, the more that seed grows roots. By the time they act, they'll believe it's their own brilliant decision, when in reality, you were the gardener all along. 2. The mirror of trust effect. People instinctively trust people who seem like them. Same tone, same body language, same emotional energy. When you mirror someone, you bypass their defenses because their subconscious says, "This person is safe. This person understands me." But here's the real power move. Don't just copy their words or gestures. Mirror their fears and desires. If they're frustrated with their job, you echo that frustration in a subtle way. "Yeah, I've been feeling like certain people take advantage of hard workers lately too." When they share something vulnerable, match it with something equally personal but carefully chosen to steer the conversation where you want it. Within minutes, they start lowering their guard. And the moment their guard drops, they become open to suggestion. They'll think you just get them. But in reality, you've been carefully shaping a psychological reflection they can't resist trusting. 3. The emotional leverage trigger. Logic rarely moves people. Emotion does. And the most powerful emotional triggers are not random. They are fear, guilt, pride, and belonging. If you learn how to subtly activate these in conversation, you can tilt decisions in your favor without force. For example, fear. If this opportunity passes, it might not come again. Guilt. I know you want to help, and it would mean a lot if you did. Pride. You've always been the kind of person who makes smart decisions. Belonging. We're all on the same side here. The key is to never make it obvious. You don't shove the emotion in their face, you let it seep in as part of the conversation. Too much, and they'll resist. Just enough, and they'll feel an urge they can't quite explain. That urge will guide them exactly where you want. 4. The controlled silence strategy. One of the most underestimated weapons in dark psychology is silence. When you speak, they hear you. But when you stay silent, they start hearing themselves, and that's where the magic happens. Humans can't stand a gap in conversation. They feel compelled to fill it. If you've made a suggestion, stop talking. If they give a weak excuse, just look at them and wait. That pause forces them to start explaining themselves, and in that moment, they often talk themselves into your desired outcome without you saying another word. Controlled silence also creates pressure, uncomfortable, invisible pressure, and because they can't see it, they don't know how to fight it. They'll start agreeing just to escape the tension you've created. In their mind, they chose it willingly. In reality, you orchestrated the entire moment without lifting a finger. 5. The choice illusion trap. The most dangerous form of control is when someone believes they're free, when every choice they see is actually one you've already selected for them. You do this by framing your suggestion as part of multiple options, all of which benefit you. Example, instead of saying, "Let's meet tomorrow," you say, "Do you want to meet in the morning or the afternoon tomorrow?" Either way, they've agreed to meet. Their brain skips the decision of whether to do it and focuses on how to do it. The choice illusion works because humans crave autonomy. They resist when they feel pushed, but they relax when they think they're in control. In reality, you've given them a sandbox to play in, but you built the walls, you set the rules, and every possible outcome still serves you. These 5 tactics aren't just tricks, they are rewiring tools for the human mind. They bypass conscious resistance and tap into the subconscious patterns that drive 95% of decisions. When you use them correctly, you don't argue, you don't push, you don't beg, you guide, silently, invisibly. And by the time they realize what happened, if they ever do, you'll already be 3 moves ahead. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. You've just learned 5 tactics that most people will never even realize are being used on them. But the question is, how do you feel about it? Because here's the real test. If you recognize these tactics in someone else starting tomorrow, will you call them out? Or will you smile, keep quiet, and use them yourself? See, some of you are already thinking about the situations where these would work perfectly at work, in a negotiation, maybe even in a relationship. Others are feeling a little guilty, like you've just been handed a loaded weapon and you're not sure whether to pull the trigger. And that's exactly why I want to hear from you. Do you think using these tactics is smart survival or manipulative and wrong? Would you use them in your own life, or would you rather protect yourself from them? Drop your answer in the comments, because I'm willing to bet this will split people right down the middle. And here's the twist while you're reading other people's replies. Pay attention, because you'll start to notice which of these tactics they're already using, right here in this comment section. So, are you the one being controlled right now, or the one in control?